Monday Night Raw starts off with Division. Starts off with their typical promo with Paul Heyman hyping up each member of Division. Then you get interrupted by Jey Uso. Jey Uso gets on the microphone, basically says that he's tired of Division, and then he ends up mentioning Braun Breaker. Then you end up getting Seth Rollins, who just randomly started roasting Braun Breaker and his entire family, basically instigating and antagonizing him to get him hype against Jey Uso. Then this eventually leads to a bit of back and forth, and eventually leads to a street fight, a Extreme Rules match in the main event, which we all know how that eventually ends up playing out. Of course, there's going to be interferences, and to be honest, I'm probably just going to go ahead and skip to the main event. Yeah, I'm just going to skip to it because there's really no reason for me to wait. It leads to the main event. You end up getting interferences from Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. You end up getting LA Knight coming out. CM Punk comes out. But towards the end of the match, you end up getting Roman Reigns. He ends up coming out, spearing Braun Breaker. Then he ends up hitting a Superman punch on Bronson Reed. This allowed Jey Uso to pick up the victory, and that's how Raw ends. This is what I expected. I don't know why people are shocked by this. WWE has been running this formula for the past like 3 to 4 years now, where they get a faction for like that summer, and then they run it over and over and over again until War Games. They did this with the Judgment Day in 23 and 24. They did it with the Bloodline. I think even in 2022, they may have done it with the Bloodline as well, if I'm not mistaken. They do this every year, so it's really not that shocking. Now, is it annoying? Absolutely. And I am getting a little bit annoyed too as well. Look, I don't mind interferences and I don't mind repetitiveness to a degree, but if you're going to be repetitive, you got to at least add some spice to it. Switch it up a bit. I think, one, we need more promos with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins needs to talk more. We're getting way too much Paul Heyman. That's number one. Number two, we need Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker talking on the microphone way more to really build up these feuds. Get Paul Heyman out of this. I understand he's a part of the faction, but I don't think he should be talking as much as he does, in my opinion. I don't really think Paul Heyman adds anything to the faction, in my opinion. He's really kind of unnecessary, to be honest with you. It's a reason why he's in the faction, due to him portraying CM Punk and Roman. But I feel like he should be more of a background character. That's just me personally. They need to have Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed cut more promos. Number two, whoever is challenging Seth Rollins need to be more interactive with him as well, instead of just having them constantly brawl. Have them have more vignette segments. That will also help as well, because this constantly them opening the show and then closing it is giving Death Rider vibes. And I like Seth Rollins. I like this faction more than the Death Riders, but that's the vibe I'm getting from this every single week. We need to switch it up a bit. You know what I'm saying? We don't need a attack and a brawl every single week. We don't need that, especially due to, with Roman Reigns, which is another frustrating thing. Look, I understand Roman Reigns doesn't have a good consistent schedule, but can we stop with this with Roman Reigns, where he just returns, attacks someone, then leaves TV for a few weeks? Can we stop doing that? If you're gonna have Roman Reigns return, have him be something important. Now it looks like we're getting Clash at Clash at Paris. We're getting Roman and Bronson, because Roman Reigns ended up mumbling Clash at Paris when they was going after the match. So looks like we might be getting Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns, which should be an interesting match. A new matchup for Roman as well. Very interested to see how that plays out, if that ends up being a match. But this faction and the feud of this faction should be more entertaining than it is, but the repetitive booking is really hindering it. Hopefully it improves, but I highly doubt it. It's probably going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing next week. Why am I acting like it's going to be something different? It's going to be the same thing next week, but hopefully it gets better. Afterwards, we end up getting Io Sky versus Raquel. They ended up having a match. Before the match started, it was a segment between her and the Kabuki Warriors, where she ends up telling them just not get involved and that she ends up forgiving them for what happened last week. Io Sky picks up the victory. After the match, you end up getting the Judgment Day attacks. Raquel and Roxanne attack Io Sky. Rhea Ripley comes out, makes the save. This leads to a backstage segment later in the show where Asuka and Kyrie end up confronting Io, while Rhea Ripley was also there, and she ends up saying that Rhea Ripley can help you, but we can't. Rhea ends up responding back, ends up saying that she only helped because you guys are nowhere to be found. Asuka ends up mentioning that Io didn't want our help. They go back and forth. Then Io Sky crashes out. So they're building tension between Asuka and Rhea Ripley, which I do like. This could go a lot of ways. You can have Asuka turn heel. You can even have Io Sky turn heel, even though I don't think that's going to happen because Io Sky is very over, but you could see that potentially happening. This could go a lot of ways. You could have Asuka feud with Rhea, then eventually lead to Asuka and Io Sky feuding. This could go a lot of ways. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, but I like what they're doing here with these women. I like what they're doing here. Very interesting. I don't even think we even had Asuka versus Rhea Ripley match yet in the making as well. So that should be very interesting. I like what they're doing with these women. Very interested to see how this story plays out. We end up getting a quick Bailey vignette segment. She ends up having a segment where she's sitting down again, but this time she's having like a she's having like split personalities where she's having voices in her head. She's having like the old Bailey from 2020 during the pandemic. I like what they're doing here. This split personality Bailey type character. This could go a lot of ways. I'm loving what they're doing. I love what they're doing here. I love this potential heel character. This could go in a lot of directions. Very interested to see how this plays out. You know, her split personality, the voices that she's hearing, like that devil on her shoulder type character. That evil side of her is responding to her, telling her that the old her was, you know, was a SmackDown Women's Champion and all that. She was having all the success. She doesn't need friends and that she needs to go back to that old self. Bailey is trying to fight it. I like what they're doing with this. Very interested to see how this plays out. I'm especially with the news of Naomi. Bailey could, you know, come in and take that spot. Just saying, if they really pull the trigger on this Bailey heel gimmick, Bailey could easily come in and take that spot as World Heavyweight Champion, and I wouldn't have no issue at all. I would actually love that idea if they actually booked that correctly. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm very interested in this new Bailey heel character. I think this could be very interesting. We end up getting Becky Lynch versus Natalya, Women's Intercontinental Championship match. The match was very mid. I'm not gonna really discuss the match. Becky retains, of course. This exactly went down how I expected it to happen because I already knew this is probably going to be like a filler feud for until Nikki Bella came. Now I thought it was going to, you know, last a little bit longer, to be fair, but Nikki Bella makes her return. She ends up attacking Becky Lynch, getting her payback. Looks like they're going to build towards Clash. Very interested to see how that plays out. Long as Nikki Bella doesn't win the Intercontinental Championship, I'm fine, which I don't think she will win it, but I'm not ruling the possibility of her not winning it because she could possibly win it. Now, does she deserve to win it? Absolutely not. But the feud itself hasn't been bad. It's been somewhat enjoyable, so it's been entertaining for the most part. So can't really complain here. See what they do next week. Nothing really much to go over. Interested to see what they do next week though. But long as Nikki Bella doesn't win the Women's Intercontinental Championship, I'm fine with this feud. Now we get the main news of the day. Naomi. She comes out, cuts the promo, and breaks the news that she is officially pregnant. And this is great news. This is great news for Naomi, her family, Jimmy Uso. Great news for her. It is a bit selfish of us, but it is unfortunate for us fans, of course, who was loving Naomi, loving her heel run, because her heel run was amazing. And I can make the argument that she is the best women's world champion that we have had since holding that women's world heavyweight champion. I'm talking about the new design, not the lineage of it, but ever since that championship existed, the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, you can argue she's been the best champion. The fact that her reign was so short that you could argue she was the best champion. But it is unfortunate that we didn't get to see the full potential of this heel run. But I am very happy for Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Naomi has been talking about wanting a baby for a while now. She's been constantly mentioning that on Twitter. So very happy for her. Wish her the best of luck during her pregnancy and birth. Wish her a speedy recovery. Now, the main question is, what's going to happen with the Women's World Heavyweight Championship? I'm assuming they're probably going to either do two things. Either one, have a #1 contendership match to see who will face Stephanie McMahon, and the winner of that match at Clash will be the new World Heavyweight Champion. Or potentially do a Battle Royal that way. Because I don't see enough time for them to do like a mini tournament. I just don't see that. So it's either just going to be, you know, like a #1 contendership match, like some type of fatal 4-way, or they're probably just going to do a Battle Royal. Now, who are the potential people who could possibly win this? The main people are Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Stephanie McMahon, and then I would throw Bayley in that mix. Out of them 4 women, I really just want either Rhea or Bayley. I really want Bayley to win this because I want someone new. That was one of the main things that people loved about Naomi's run, was that she was new, refreshing, exciting. We have already seen the Rhea Ripley stuff a lot, and I like Rhea Ripley, but the story that she's having with Io and Asuka, that doesn't need a title. We don't need the title involved. Would it make it somewhat more important? Yes, but I do not want to see another Rhea Ripley, Io Sky vortex with the championship. I don't. As much as I love Rhea Ripley, I just don't want to see that right now. And then Stephanie McMahon, I love her, but it's way too soon. build her up some more, give her some more wins, have her appear on TV for God's sake before we give her a world championship. That's just my opinion. I think the perfect option is Bayley. This split personality character that she could potentially portray is perfect. She could easily fill the void of Naomi of being that heel. I think she's perfect. I think she's perfect. I think she should be your next Women's World Heavyweight Champion. Potentially, you could have Liv Morgan win this as well. Tell the story with her and Roxanne Perez. Now, the only question is that what is the update on her injury? Now, of course, if she's not going to be back in time, then of course she can't win it, of course. But she could be a potential dark horse as well. This could go a lot of ways, but you guys let me know overall thoughts, opinion of what you guys think of this entire situation. Overall, this show was very mid. The show sucked. I'm just going to be honest. Outside of Naomi announcing her pregnancy, there's really nothing much to really go over. It was the same repeat format that they've been doing. This show was not that good, but you guys let me know your overall thoughts down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.